Renee Church, and you've been blessing us with your wonderful music. I mean, the passion. You can see when you're singing that you mean it.
Yes.
That you're singing for Jesus and for people, and that is beautiful. Thank you so very
You're
much.
welcome.
You have a beautiful smile.
Praise the Lord.
And now I want to begin with something that I read, I think, somewhere on the website of your website or somebody else's, but you said that God allowed me to be put in chains in order to set me free. Now, I just want to say, as we look at you, you look like a Sunday school girl that grew up and everything worked out fine, and you got all the breaks in life and whatever. What does that statement mean? You had to be in chains to get free.
Well, you know, it means so much. When you said you have a beautiful smile, that really, it did something inside of me, because I remember a time when I didn't smile.
Really?
I had nothing to smile about. And you know, the time I was going through, I was abused from the age of 7 to the age of 14 and ended up having a baby by my abuser. And life was just terrible for me. There was no reason to live. There was no reason to smile, to have joy, because I was in hell every day of my life. I was living in hell. And I was on drugs for a very long time. I was on crack cocaine. I smoked so much cocaine that I remember I weighed like a size 3, 4. I was very, very tiny, and I used to sit outside and, you know, I would think that I would see cocaine everywhere. I would do things like pick on you, because if you had lint on you, I would think that was crack cocaine so that I could smoke it.
Oh.
And I wanted to be free, but I didn't know that I could be free, and I didn't know how to be free.
Now, I'm going to stop your testimony. Just keep it going in a minute. But did no one come to you at that time sharing the gospel?
Wow. You know, at that time, I probably looked like a thug. So a lot of the Christians, to be quite honest, they were afraid of me. But Arthur, if they would have, I would have accepted him, because I wanted a way out. I was asking, I would say, whoever you are, you know, if you could just help me. If you could help me. I don't want to be like this. I don't want to do this. And he did. He set me free from the drugs. Miraculously. I mean, I really, it was one of those things. It was either, I had a boyfriend. I love you. But I had a boyfriend at the time that found out that I was smoking. And he said, it's either me or the drugs. And it was like, you know, the war of the angel and the demon it was a war to choose him. But I chose him over the drugs. But then the demon didn't go away, because the demon said, well, you know all the drug dealers, so now why don't you just sell the drugs? And so I did. And I began to sell the drugs, but I still wanted a way out. I wanted freedom. And I remember saying, you know, this pregnant girl came over and she wanted some crack cocaine, and I was like, I'm not going to give it to her. I'm not going to give it to her. And I was like, please, I don't want to be like this. And little did I know that it would be prison that God would choose to set me free. Now, I was thinking Hawaii, you know, I'm thinking somewhere else, not prison, but the Lord had prison. I have my mentor, her name's Margaret Reynolds with Revelation Seed, and she always says that prison is a mercy station. Prison was a mercy station for me, Arthur. I've had guns to my head right in front of my mother's door. A man I guess he was mistaking me for someone else, and he literally walked up to me, pulling his gun out of his pants. And then I said, hi. And he said, oh. And he put his gun back and walked away. Prison was a mercy station for me, because it was there that God began to talk to me about me. See, I didn't think I was loved, because the person that was supposed to be the protector, the nurture, the guide, you know, the guidance for me, was the person that ruined my life. was the person that put me in those chains, that put me in that bondage. And so when I went to the prison, I was of a different religion. I didn't grow up in church, period. So it's funny when he says that, you know, that I looked like a church girl. I was far from that. This is definitely, I am redeemed. I've been bought with a price. I am redeemed. I've been bought with a price.
Okay.
Because he gives us beauty for ashes.
Right.
Woo! He gives us beauty for ashes.
Preach it.
Oh my God. Oh my God. So when I got in that prison, I still wanted freedom, and I was going to the services of this other religion, and while I was there was no life. There was nothing there. What I needed, that religion couldn't give me. But there was a group that would always sing over in the chapel. And it was something about music. And it would draw me over to that chapel. Now, I wouldn't stay for the word and all that because that was too deep. That was too much for me. But it was something about that singing. And as they began to sing, I would sit there and I would just be gravitating to them and gravitating to them. Till one day, one of the ladies said, "Baby, what do you want?" She wasn't afraid to approach me. "What do you want?" And I had a friend, I had gotten some bad news. And I had went to my friend and said, "I want to kill myself. I'm just done. I'm tired of this. I just need to die." She looked at me almost like fighting. And she said, "You don't need to die. What you need is Jesus." Now, that would have been a time where I would have been like, "You get your hand out of my face," and, you know, but she was right. And they invited me to this service, and I went to this service, and I'm sitting there in the service, and I said, "You know, if you're real, if you are who they say you are," the situation I was facing back at home, I said, "If you don't let my mother," which my mother would have gotten into some trouble, she's so innocent, she didn't do anything. And I said, "But if you don't let my mother go to jail or get in trouble, I will serve you for the rest of my life." And about 2 weeks went, and I went forward. Now, I didn't know what I was doing, I just went forward. And, you know, I really didn't understand fully, but I knew they said he could fix it. I needed to fix it. And so I went forward, and then about a week or two later, I called my mother, and I said, "Well, what happened?" She said, "Oh, that went away." And I said, "Oh, really?" And instantly, I heard, "I did my part. Now, what are you going to do?" Hallelujah. And I said, "God, I will serve you for the rest of my life. And I will open my mouth, and I will declare his name for the rest of my life." And I remember when I was sitting in the prison, when I got saved, I thank God for TBN, Jan, Paul,
Amen.
yourself, and all the other ministers that come on here. I was sitting in the prison, and I was thinking, I can't watch the secular channels. I can't watch the shows that I used to, because I really wanted to be different. So, you know, in order to get something different, you have to do something different. And so I said, I'm not going to watch those shows that I watched, but I would go downstairs in our little TV room, and around 11:30 at night, and I would turn on TBN.
Yeah, praise God.
And I would get fed. And maybe you're sitting in a prison right now. Like my husband said, maybe it's not a prison that is an actual prison, physical bars. Maybe it's a prison in your mind. You know, I was in prison in my mind first. And he's setting me free. Did you hear me? Setting me free. I'm being transformed by the renewing of my mind. Maybe you're sitting in a prison right now, and you're saying, "What? She can be free? Can I be free?" I was sitting where you're sitting. Physically, spiritually, mentally, sitting where you're sitting. I didn't ever think that I'd be on TBN, the whole channel that I was watching.
Praise God.
But God says, "I know the plans that I have for you." We have plans, but God
That's right.
has plans. And he sent his son for me. He sent his son for you. Yeah, you. Not because you deserved it. Not because you even wanted, son. But because he knew that you would need him. I needed him. I needed him to set me free. Set me free from what, you might ask? Set me free from what? From the lies of the enemy. Do you know that it's the lies of the enemy that keep us in bondage? Jesus said, you shall know the truth, and the truth will do what? So if you're in any kind of bondage today, there's a lie that's probably holding you captive.
Lead them in prayer.
Father, right now, in the name of Jesus, you are more than able. And I thank you, Father God, for that person that's listening to us right now, that's listening intently, that's saying, maybe I will. I thank you that today, while it's called today, they're making a decision for you. You can do it. Call the number. You can do that. There's somebody there that believes in you because God believes in you and they believe in God. You haven't done anything that God cannot forgive. You haven't done anything that God cannot forgive. I haven't told my whole story, but guess what? God knows, and he's forgiven me of that, and he'll forgive you. Would you just pray with us right now? Say, Father, I believe that you sent your son Jesus. A holy son to die for an unholy person. I believe that he's the Son of God, that he died, that he rose, that he's sitting on the right hand of God, praying for me, loving me. Today, if you prayed that prayer, it's really simple. See, that's what I'm saying. It's really simple. It's not complicated. It's really simple. If you said that prayer, the Bible says that you're saved. And they are throwing the most amazing party
That's right.
in heaven for you.
That is right. That's right. And the prayer partners are waiting for your call right now. Just dial that number and say, I just prayed with Renee and Jesus is in my heart. Email, however, contact us and share with your friends what Jesus Christ has done.
Amen.
In a few moments, you're going to be singing another song. It's called Life.
Yes.
And it is your testimony. And I want you to know that she sings in conferences and with some of the greatest and most well-known people in the world. And so God has raised you up ministering in wonderful ways, and we welcome you, both of you,